Welcome. Switch the days up. This is Monday morning. Mike Hill Show usually is a Sunday production, but had to get in a little family time and had a birthday for one of my good friends. I had to attend to a birthday party. So shout out to my boy Gabby Dabbit. We've been locked in since we were 12 years old. So I had to attend his birthday party yesterday. So I couldn't do the show, but we are here today. Man, it's early this morning. It's Coffee with Coach Mike. That's what we're going to call this show, Coffee with Coach Mike. And then we're going to do the usual. We're going to get through the top 25. We're going to talk about the big games. We're going to talk about the game of the week. We're going to talk about outstanding performers. And we're going to talk about the question of the week. See where y'all knowledge is at. But let's get to it. First of all, let's just check out the gear. You know what I say. You send it, I will rock it. This is a Culture sweater by one of my good friends, Lauren Harris, out of San Francisco. I believe she has moved on to Buffalo, New York. So she's out in the East Coast now, but this is Culture sweater, San Francisco logo. If y'all know the Giants, it's the same letter, and it's a nice quality sweater. So I'm rocking that today. And let's get on to it, man. Let's get into the top 25 wins and loss category. There's a lot of losses this week for top 25. So I counted 8 of the top 25 of the West Coast Preps Bay Area top 25 rankings. I got 8 teams that lost this past Friday, Saturday. So that may be the most that we had in a while. Usually it's about 4 or 5 that tend to come up short, but this week was 8. So we're going to get into that. And I always go through the top 3, and I will go through the top 4 this time. We're going to hit the top 4. So top 3, let's get to it. We got Sarah, number 1. They remain number 1. They played Bellarmine. So Bellarmine is a great program in that WCAL. So they clashed early. Big powerhouses clashed early. And I think Bellarmine scored first, if I'm not mistaken. Bellarmine struck first. It was 7-0. Sarah was down. But that's not the first time Sarah's been down, as you know. What happened in the De La Salle game. They came back and won that one. But Sarah went on to win 28-7, remains unbothered in that WCL as the top team in NorCal. So shout out to Sarah. And then we had it's kind of unexpected. We're not used to this. It's not the norm. De La Salle lost again. So that's their 3rd loss to NorCal team. And I can't even remember this. I don't even know if I was born the last time they lost to 3 NorCal teams. When I was growing up, they barely lost. It was a streak of like 150 and over. You know what I mean? So De La Salle lost. They were the number 2 team, but they lost to a great program out of Stockton, St. Mary's of Stockton. I think this is the second or third time that they came down to the Bay and clipped us. But got a lot of love for that program down there. They produce great talent. Nasir is a baller out there. He plays receiver. I think he went over for about over 100 yards receiving in that game. So as we take a look, so De La Salle takes another L. They'll still be in the playoffs. They're still the one of the top teams in the NCS and likely to win their league. So they're not done yet. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And then Pittsburgh had a shootout with Liberty. It was 31-29. The Battle of Highway 4, right? Pittsburgh, Liberty's out there in Brentwood. Pittsburgh won on a late field goal, and that was 31-29 to remain one of the top teams in NorCal. And then I had to go ahead and mention the number 4 team, since the number 2 team lost to a team that was not in our top 25, and that's McClymonds. McClymonds, I feel they may move up to the top 3. I don't know. It depends kind of how much is weighed upon the loss by De La Salle to St. Mary's. You know what I mean? So that's the powerhouse program. They may very well be undefeated, so they may not move very much. But McClymonds, the Mac House, is the number 4 team. And let's get into the big games. We had McClymonds versus San Ramon Valley in a high-power offensive battle. The numbers from this game are absolutely crazy. I think the final score was 45 to 42. I may be mistaken, but McClymonds was up. Looks like they were cruising on to a victory, and then San Ramon Valley came back and they wasn't cruising for a bruising. You know, they coming back trying to get this W. And just looking at some stats, and this is kind of unbelievable, man. Luke Baker, the quarterback from San Ramon Valley, had 511 yards passing. Jesus. And what's crazy about this is a coach from McClymonds hit me up and said, man, this dude has to be a nominee for Player of the Week. And I said, well, you know, what did he do? 511 yards passing against McClymonds. Now, we're not talking about, you know, 0-7 program and you come up, put up 80 points against them. Like, no, we're talking about a powerhouse in MAC. You know what I mean? So Luke Baker went for 511 yards, and the Jet does what the Jet does, 280 yards. And I think he had 20 carries. I mean, God, that kid's amazing. Just, you know, toting a rock. And then I guess I put easy work Alkalanis. They undefeated, 42-0. They had Trev Rogers back there with some highlights that I got to see. Stretching, I want to say like an 85-yard catch, going the distance. I think he's, you know, about 6'2", 210, just flying down the field. So Alkalani's easy work gets the win over Los Lomas, man. So shout out to Alkalani, stay undefeated. And I want to say the upset of the weekend had to be Vacaville over Vanden. So Vanden was undefeated. I think Vacaville was 3-3 going into the game, and then Vacaville came to play. So, you know, in high school sports, in college, and in professional, every week is a different week. Like, you got to be ready to go. And once you know, you never know what type of team you're going to get. You can get a team that's going to come battle and give up. You're going to get a team that's never going to give up. You're going to give a team that's going to give it their all. So you got to stay ready for any competition. So shout out to Vacaville for getting that big upset win over the weekend. And we got one more big game that I did not mention. We got to get this. It's the Menlo Knights. Menlo Knights take on Aragon at the house for homecoming. That was my first homecoming being with Menlo, and man, it was a sight to see. That game was packed. It was so many people there in the stands. The student section was rowdy. They cheering, they fired up. They had some big loud chants on third down when we really needed to stop. There was booths, food trucks, you name it. It was going down at Menlo School for this homecoming. So it was absolutely great experience, man. I'm glad I got to experience that as a coach. I'm glad my family was there to experience that as spectators. So shout out to Menlo. And let's just talk about that game, man. So that game, the score was 31-10. And it was close in the beginning. If I'm not mistaken, Aragon scored first, right? And then we came back and scored later. So going into halftime, you know, late in the second quarter, Aragon was driving. They're in their red zone, and then my man Harry Hauser at safety comes through and jumps a slant, gets the interception, right? Just a game-changing play by Harry Hauser. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we were able to push the ball down the field. I want to say 94 yards in less than 2 minutes, and it was amazing. And that was the turning point in the game. So going into that, it was 10-7, I believe, at the time. It could have easily been 17-7, which could have been a different story going into the second half. We ended up scoring. It's 14-10 at halftime. The boys are confident. The coaching staff was confident. You know, we really needed that big time play by my man Harry Hauser, and then we caught our feet. We got our feet under us, and we got it done. So it ended up being 31-10 final score. And just, you know, look at some outstanding plays and players. Our quarterback, 23, class of 23, Jake Bianchi, threw for over 400 yards in 3 quarters. He didn't play the third quarter. We went with our backup quarterback, Mikey McGrath, and we'll talk about that in a second. We had Ty Richardson. So Ty Richardson just does it all, man. Offense, defense, and special teams. So Ty Richardson racked up over 200 yards all-purpose. I want to say he had close to 90 yards receiving, 90 yards rushing, a touchdown, the big touchdown, a 64-yard bomb to get us that go-ahead score in the second quarter. And then he had an interception and he had a punt return for about 40 yards. So the kid does it all. I'm telling you, he is a Division I prospect. I'm betting my money on him. It's not much he cannot do, and he's starting to gather the attention that he deserves, man. You got Sac State, Little San Jose State coming around, Cal Poly, Holy Cross, William and Mary, like in Hawaii, just to start it off. So his attention that he deserves is coming. We are always working to connect these players with coaches with players. So, they get the opportunity to play collegiate football. So that's the goal, and that's always the plan. So shout out to him. And then got two more. I got Court, my man Court, tight end, committed to University of North Carolina. Some stuff you just can't teach, man. That kid is like 6'4", 220 pounds, 25 pounds, and he can do it all. He can block, he can catch, and he got breakaway speed. So Court ended the game with 106 yards receiving from the tight end spot and a touchdown to go along with his 8 tackles in that game. So shout out to Court, man, and shout out to the Menlo Knights for getting that win. And shout out to Aragon. Like they wasn't a pushover team. No, they were big, they were strong, they were physical. They was laying down a hat when they needed to, and they was pushing the ball. A player that stuck out to me from that game is number 1. I believe his name is Lloyd Walter, 6'1", 210, DB, running back, played in the box a little bit, and according to his Twitter profile, he has a 4.0, so that's a kid that may have to get a look from these colleges, and I believe he's been starting since he was a sophomore. So shout out to Lloyd Walter from Aragon High School. And let's get to it. Let's get to these top performances. And I already mentioned some of it, but let's just get to it and let me just dive in a little bit deeper with the research I did on this kid. Luke Baker, San Ramon Valley quarterback, got him down for 511 yards versus McClymonds. That puts him over 2,000 yards in 6 games already. 2,000. That's a lot of yards, man. I'm a play caller, and that's a lot of yards. So that means the kid just out there just with they call it like a hose on his arm. Like he just out there firing it off. So shout out to him for that. And the crazy thing about it is he is a Division I baseball commit going to Santa Clara University. You hear me? So the kid is big time. And then another impressive thing, he has a 4.4 GPA. So he's doing it on the field. He's doing it on the diamond. He's doing it in the classroom. So shout out to Luke Baker. I'm going to definitely have to reach out to him and his coaching staff and get him on the show. Maybe his coach, because I need to talk to the offensive coordinator. I need to know what you dialing up over there to have this kid at 2,000 yards in 6 games. So shout out to San Ramon Valley. Y'all did the do. And, Luke Baker, there's nobody that can top you this weekend, man. So you are the player of the week. Top performance of the week is Luke Baker. So real quick, we talk about the game of the week. And I saw West Coast Preps, they did the voting. They do the voting every week for the game of the week. And I commented, there's no bigger game in Northern California, maybe no bigger game in California than the Bruce Mahoney Sacred Heart Cathedral versus St. Ignatius. 2 San Francisco private Catholic schools will go out there and duke it out at Kezar. That game's on Friday, and I can just give you just some personal experience from that game. Last year, I got to coach in that game, and it was close to 8,000 people there, man. That game was packed, and I was in the box calling plays during that time, and I couldn't even hear myself talk to the coaches on the field because the student sections were so loud during timeouts, during penalties. They never stopped. So it's loud, it's packed, it's people from all over, alumni, people who don't have any connection to the programs. They're coming out, they're showing love. So that is one of the longest standing rivalries, I want to say, in the nation for high school sports. So that's the player. That's the game of the week. It's big time players on both sides of the ball. SI got a few players. Sacred Heart got a few players, as you know. and I'm gonna try to make it to that game. And people ask me who I'm going for. If you ever coach at Sacred Heart, and I'm sure it's the same at St. Ignatius, once you leave, you're never gonna pick the other school, right? If you rock with Sacred Heart, then you are just going to rock with Sacred Heart. You're never going to pick SI. And if you rock with SI, you're never going to pick Sacred Heart. Even if you coaching the Buffalo Bills, it just ain't going to happen. So good luck to both sides, man. Let the best team win. But I got to root for SHC to this one. Hopefully they can pull this off. It's going to be a tough matchup. It's always a tough matchup. It's going to be a real close game. And let the best team win, baby. And I want to get one more game in there. We got San Francisco, big time private school rival, and then we got one out here in the South Bay. We got Mitty versus Bellarmine, and I just called it the Battle of San Jose. Right, Mitty's back, Mitty Gritty is back. Bellarmine Bell's ready to play. I think that game's at San Jose City College on Friday night, so I'll be checking the updates on that. And that's a big time game, man. So Mitty and Bellarmine, you guys are in the mix as well. Menlo, we play at 3 o'clock, an early game. On Friday, 3 or 4 o'clock on Friday, due to some changes. We got the referee official shortage, so things get moved around all the time. So hopefully I can get to that Bruce Mahoney game later that night around 7. If things work out on my end, if I can't make it down there, maybe I'll push out to a Bellarmine versus Mitty. But I got to see one of these games, and I'm due for a live in-game high school besides my own, and watch and just see what's going on and see the environments at these different programs. So shout out to the games of the week for that. SHC versus SI. Kezar, the Bruce Mahoney is it. When we call this coffee with Coach Mike, you know what I mean? So that's what we drinking early this morning, man. It's a coffee day to get it rolling. And I'm trying to stop drinking coffee, to be real. I drink coffee almost every day, and I take a break every now and then for a week or two. So this is my first coffee in a little bit, and in a while. So I'm back drinking coffee. I got to figure out my new coffee spot. I tried Phil's. My man Brandon Huffman loves Phil, so shout out to B Huff. I do dabble with the Phil's, but it don't always hit the spot for me. So I don't know if I'm off Phil's. I got to figure that out. And then Starbucks, I love Starbucks. Right, they don't usually go wrong, but it'd be so packed. Like, man, it's thousands of people in there. I just want a cup of Joe. You hear me? So I gotta figure out a new coffee spot. I did try Blue Bottle Coffee out in San Francisco. That's on like Fillmore and Jackson over there in Pack Heights. Dropping off my son to school a couple weeks ago, but man, that one had my stomach in a blender because I should have got lactose-free milk. I should have got some soy milk, but the only options were almond milk or oat milk, and I said, you know what, F it, let me just get the whole milk. And that was a whole bad decision. Stomach was doing tornadoes all day and at practice. So Blue Bottle, I'm gonna give you one more shot to figure out what the coffee is. But I usually like mom and pop coffees. I know when I was working on patrol in San Francisco, I always had a coffee spot in the area that I was working in, especially down in Avenues. 25th and Commit was my coffee shop. So I got to find a mom and pop coffee shop that I like and just rock with it. And I'm always down for the mom and pop. As you can see, clothing, if it's training, if it's catering, whatever it is, I'm down with the small businesses, man, trying to survive in this tough world and trying to survive in the Bay at that. We know how expensive it is out here, but let's move on, man. Let's move on to a couple of things. Only got 2 more things to get to, and I'll let you guys go on this Monday. The question of the week. I thought about it, and I popped the question of the week yesterday, and I asked, who has the best record, or what's the best Division I team in the Bay Area right now? The options that I gave were the Cal Bears, Stanford Cardinals, and the San Jose State Spartans. And looking at the poll, it looks like some of y'all don't watch football. Because the simple fact that y'all chose Stanford, no offense to the Cardinals, you ain't been watching football, but because it ain't going too hot over there. But they lost late against Oregon State. That game started at 8 o'clock, and the game had to probably end around 11:30, and they lost at 11:29. So they play Notre Dame this weekend, and they got to fly all the way out there to Indiana. So good luck to them. And then we got the Cal Bears, man. Cal Bears program is back. I love the staff over there. Benji, Coach AT, all the boys over there that got it going. They are 3-2. They are 3-2. So they doing well. They doing well over there, but they are not the number one team in the Bay Area right now. And let's drop down to the San Jose State Spartans. I'm so happy that they back on top, man. That's a good program, and they are actively recruiting the Bay Area. I went to the game a few weeks ago with some players from Menlo, and we got to experience the vibe at San Jose State, and it was electric. So shout out to San Jose State. They are 4-1 front runners in this Mountain West, and they are the best team in the Bay Area right now. Yes, they are. So just looking at the breakdown, out of the we had 10% of the people vote for Stanford. 10 of y'all should be ashamed of yourself. 20% voted for Cal, and I get it for sure, because they was definitely 1 and 2, and 70% of the people voted for San Jose State, and it looks like it was about 100 people that voted on that poll there. So that was a good little outcome for the vote. So shout out to San Jose State, shout out to Coach Zoe, shout out to all the boys. Ben, director of football operations down there, is always a good dude. They got an awesome staff down there. We love San Jose State football, and we got 2 plays in our playbook named after San Jose State. We got San Jose State and we got Spartan. And I would tell you what the play was, but then why? Then y'all gonna know what we're doing over there. But we do got 2 plays named after San Jose State. So shout out to the Spartans. And as we move on, man, this one's gonna be short and sweet. I'm solo today. This is Coffee with Coach Mike with the with the West Coast Preps podcast. And then next week, we'll get back to it on our regular schedule Sunday. Next week, I do have a college coach lined up for y'all who will come give some recruiting tips firsthand from a college coach, what they are looking for in athletes and what the process is. And we'll ask questions. I also have a player on the show that week. So hopefully we can get a little back and forth. I could have the dead period's over, so we good to go. I can have a player, a student athlete, talk to a coach and be able to ask them questions that they want to ask, and then after that they can relay this information to their teammates, to their parents, to coaches. You know what I mean? So we'll be live to this next show coming up on Sunday. We'll have the Mike Hill podcast show back live at its regular scheduled time, man. And then it's looking forward through the month. We're gonna have a Halloween show. That's going to be on the 30th, dressed up. I told my daughter I want to be a chicken, so I might just come in a chicken costume. You never know. So we got that show coming up, man. So once again, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the support. I get text messages from friends. My mom's always watching. Shout out to Lisa. Family. College coaches, everybody, man. So, hey, I appreciate that, man. Just the encouragement and the words that you guys are giving, and I, use your advice. And if you guys got questions, you guys want to have answered and thoughts, please share it with me. I'm always down. I'm always open for it. So, thank y'all. Mike Hill Show with West Coast Preps. Let's keep this thing going. Let's retweet, subscribe to West Coast Preps so you can hear me every week.